Hi everyone, so today we're going to have a look at the cognitive approach, and we're going to have a look particularly at individual differences in memory. Okay, so firstly let's start off with a little memory test. What I want you to do is I want you to try and remember as many of these words as you can. So take a minute, maybe time yourself 1 minute to just have a look at these words, and then remove yourself from the screen and write down as many words as you can. Okay, so you might want to pause at this point. So pause the screen, write them down. And then I want you to see how many words you remembered. So once you've done this, I want you to test somebody else on this memory test. Okay, so you might want to read them out to somebody else and then see how many words they remember. Okay, once you've done that, I want you to compare your number of correct words that you got recalled against your own, and I want you to see if there is a difference in the number of words you recalled and the other person recalled. So what you might be wondering is why I'm doing this. So the reason why I want you to do this memory test and then compare it is to see, or really to demonstrate, that everybody's memory is different and we don't always remember the same things. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some research now on why there are individual differences in memory and really what those individual differences are. So the cognitive approach generally describes how we process information, okay? And it means that there will be individual differences in the way we encode memory, the way we process information. And really, what evidence is there of this is the speed at which we process differs, okay, between individuals. For example, some people take longer to write notes from the board in class than others, because there are differences in short-term capacity. So, generally we know from Miller's research that we can hold 7 chunks of information in our short-term memory. However, there are people that can hold a lot more and also a lot less as well. So our short-term memory capacity is not really limited to 7 items. So cognitive theories really explain how individuals may use different strategies really of memory. Some people might rehearse things differently, others might pay attention to certain events which makes them remember that better, or using different strategies such as chunking information together. Reconstructive memory by Bartlett. So just reminding yourself really of this theory, suggests that we do remember things using our individual schemas. So remember, schemas was a packet of knowledge, of information that contains everything that we know really about the world. So what we're saying here is our schemas are individual and they're based on our experiences. So really you could say that they are based on individual differences and they are affected by them. So, for example, you may perceive this item on the right here to be a pen, but a toddler or a young child may perceive it to be a drumstick. So our experience really based perception actually does affect how we remember objects as well. Episodic memory, so again, just a bit of revision on some of the theories of memory here at the same time. So remember, episodic memory is your autobiographical memory. So it's a collection of memories about your own life really, so things that are personal and unique to you. So again, episodic memory can be regarded as being individually different for everybody. So no two people in the world have exactly the same experiences in their life. Okay, so again, episodic memory is really based on individual differences. A research study done by Palombo 2012, conducted on autobiographical memory, found that some people have a good memory and some people have a bad memory. They also found that there are gender differences. So males tended to score higher on spatial tasks than females did. And again, you know, this really shows that there are differences in gender in memory, and also the types of memory, because, you know, as you'll see in the next slide, the males tend to remember certain things more than females, and then vice versa. So with gender differences, there's not really significant gender differences when it comes to memory. Although when we go back to schemas and reconstructive theory, there are differences in the way we form our schemas. For example, a study in 2013 by Wang found that women were better than men at recognizing photographs of faces that they had seen before, but these were really only female faces, and when it came down to male faces, they tended to score them exactly the same as men. Further study by Loftus also found that males and females, there wasn't really much difference in memory. So again, really, there's very limited research on gender differences in memory, but there are some limited studies there which do suggest that there are some differences. But again, it's an area that does need further research. Unique case studies. Now, in cognitive approach, you would have covered some unique case studies such as Henry Molaison, HM, and Clive Waring, and, you know, many others. Okay, the cognitive theories really do ignore some of these individual differences, and because there are a few unusual case studies, and really these cases are unique. They're not exactly the same. Each of these individual case studies went through different life experiences. Okay, they had different events happening which might have led to some damaged part of the brain. Okay, so again, really, these unique case studies are affected by individual differences as well, and we can't treat two case studies exactly the same. And this is why there's always been a generalizability problem with case studies, because they are based on a unique individual. Okay, and no two case studies are going to be the same. Individual differences could also be personality. So by personality, we mean, you know, the way that person behaves in certain situations. Introversion and extroversion are characteristics of personality which have been researched. Again, there is some research here, study by Cox, Fuentes, Elisa, 2006, found that introverts do have a better long-term memory than extroverts, and this is down to the biological levels of arousal in the brain. Okay, and it could be explained by the fact that introverts do spend probably more time thinking about the past, so they're more likely to, say, rehearse their information, rehearse their memories, go over them and over them, whereas extroverts are more focused on the present, so they may pay attention to different experiences, which may lead them to having different memory capacities and so forth. Also, the last thing I want to talk about really is photographic memory. So there are individuals who have the so-called photographic memory, and really a photographic memory is an individual that can recall every little detail of what they see, read or hear. So they could just look at a picture and then remember every single thing about that picture. And again, there is some research out there. In case of Kim Peek, born with brain damage, it could cause many problems, but gave a strange ability to make mental calculations very, very quickly, and also reading very, very fast. Peek read about 12,000 books in his life and could recall all of them. So if you ask him a question about any of those books, he would remember. Now there is a link there, so do have a look at that link, which gives you, some information about Kim Peek. Photographic memory is sometimes found in people who have autism, and these people are gifted, so they're called autistic savants. And now, although autism might be largely seen as a negative trait, autistic savants are very highly gifted, so it's seen as a positive trait. For example, Stephen Wiltshire can draw detailed landscapes from seeing a view once. So again, these autistic savants have highly developed skills. Okay, so again, there's a video link there to, you know, an autistic savant, somebody that's got a photographic memory. And we don't obviously all have a photographic memory, so some people are more gifted. They have differences in the way they process information. Okay, so really all of the things that we have talked about are different factors really that could affect a person's memory. So really I'm going to summarize by giving you a question really to summarize and have a go at answering on all of these different factors. So, using psychological research, discuss how different factors can affect memory for 6 marks. So what you do in this question is you talk about all the different factors that we've mentioned, okay? You talk about reconstructive schemas, how they are different. You talk about autobiographical memory, episodic memory. You talk about gender differences and, you know, include some of the research in there as well. Okay, so really what you're doing is you're really summarising how different factors can affect memory. Okay.